الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. اللهم انصر إخوان المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخوان المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم ارزقهم من رزقك الحلال الطيب المبارك ما تصون به وجوههم عن التعرض إلى أحد من خلقك. اللهم فرج عنهم. اللهم ارحمهم. اللهم انصرهم على القوم الكافرين. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. Mona Kashif Saab has been discussing the different a'mal and different action that we should do in the month of Ramadan that we should focus on. Yesterday he discussed some pertinent things that were mentioned in hadith regarding tahleel, saying la ilaha illallah as much as possible, as well as asking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's jannah and seeking refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from his nar, and doing abundant istighfar as well. So these were 4 different a'mal that Mona Kashif Saab emphasized on yesterday. Today we will talk about another amal that is mentioned in the Quran. We know that the word Ramadan only comes in one ayah in the Quran. In the ayah right after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about an important amal that we should also focus on in the month of Ramadan, which is dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. That when my slaves ask you about me, then tell them that I am close to them. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِي. I answer the call of the one who calls upon me. So in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating that during the month of Ramadan, there should be extra focus on dua. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising us that He will answer our dua. This is something that we should really have full yaqeen in. The more yaqeen we have in the acceptance of our du'as, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept our du'as. As the hadith mentions, hadith Qudsi, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنِّ عَبْدِي بِي. I am as my slave thinks of me. So if we have full yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet ﷺ says, أُدْعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَنْتُمْ مُوقِنُونَ بِالْإِجَابَةِ, then make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have firm yaqeen that He will answer you. And especially when a person is fasting, it's mentioned in a hadith that before the time of iftar, that is a time where dua is most readily accepted. So something we should really, really focus on. Every single one of us have problems. Every single one of us has needs. We are human beings. We're not perfect. We do not have everything that we need. And so we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is all powerful, who has all the treasures in the heavens and the earth. And we completely humble ourselves in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we seek from His treasures. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never gets tired of giving from us. Rather, there's a hadith that mentions that لَيْسَ شَيْءٌ أَكْرَمَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ الدُّعَاءِ. There's nothing more honorable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than dua. How amazing in this. When we go to any human being, then we lower ourselves. We feel bad that why do I have to lower myself in front of this person? I have to ask them for something. And the more you go to that person, they will get upset. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves when a slave asks Him for things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that this slave knows his weakness, and He knows that I am the one who is the most great. And so Allah gets more and more happy the more we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us more and more. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to make dua to Him as much as possible in this blessed month. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.